But at that time, you just didn't realize the politics of the game. That's all. Because that was politics of the game.
Well, you got to also understand, it's like, man, I spent 4 years not playing football, and the Raiders had enough faith in me to bring me back. So that
let's stop this.
Let's
take away. You didn't spend 4 years in the Navy, right? Okay. And they did that to you. How would you have felt?
He never knows.
That's why I said.
Would they have brought Eric Dickerson or somebody else?
So we're gonna play hindsight. Okay. I got you. I got you.
I had Marcus Allen. I mean, these guys are guys might go into the Hall of Fame.
But this is your time to become the starter for the Oakland Raiders, and this is what they bring to you. And you have bust your behind for 4 years in the Navy. Yep. And then when you get to the Raiders, you got Bo, you got Dick, you got Marcus.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And now it's your turn to shine, and they tell you Tom Rathman is going to start in front of you. You going to tell me that was just okay with you?
Or what are you going to do? You got to get a different job. You know it's not okay. But I'm sure the same thing happened to you though too. You're playing and they put someone in front of you that you're not. You could either bounce and get a different job, or you just have to deal with it. I mean, I'm sure he was.
Yeah, I'm not saying leave. That's not what I'm not saying. Leave or bounce, but you have some type of feeling going on inside you that why are y'all screwing over me and I'm busting my ass. Welcome to another episode of Life After Sports with James Harris and Gregory Vaughn. Today's guest is Napoleon McCallum. He's a National League football player. How are you doing today?
I'm doing awesome. Happy to be here with you guys.
Hey, cheers to that. Thank you
cheers
for
to that, my friend.
Cheers.
We are all celebrating some number 23 wine, Greg Vaughn wine. And today's topic is Mr. Napoleon. How are you doing? Tell me some good things about you and tell me what's been going on in your life.
Hey, I've been enjoying life here in Vegas. I've got all kinds of sports coming here, and it's actually, it's pretty fantastic. There's always something to do here in Vegas, and just loving life.
I love that. I mean, for you being from Northern California, you know what I mean. I know about you, but just tell the world, tell the kids in the world your story. Tell how did you become who you are? Where you're from and how it started, and what age did you pick up football? Because a lot of us know you, from the military, the Navy and all that. Yeah. I mean,
But how did it all begin?
How did it all begin?
It's the beginning to all.
Yeah. So it started. I loved football. And I wanted to play football at an early age, and I was in Lincoln Heights project area in Cincinnati, and I wanted to play on the football team, and the coach looked at me and was like, "Man, you too small to be playing." So my first.
You too small.
I'm too small. I was too small.
How big are you?
How big are you now?
How big were you then? And then
why do we got to worry about now? When I was in my playing days, I was probably about 235.
Okay.
So Vegas, the buffets hit me a little. But I was too small, and my first position in football was water boy. So when I was playing in the projects, I was a water boy for the team, and then we moved out from Lincoln Heights to a place called Milford, and so I went from like the city environment, kind of all black Catholic school, and then to the country. And, where I was the only black there. And, I excelled in sports, because I guess that was a way to make friends.
Right.
Was it, by you excelling, was that something that you needed to prove to the coach that you left before that didn't want to give you the opportunity because you thought you were small?
No, I think I was just too little to, it was Little League. So I just didn't understand I wanted to play football, and my Dallas Cowboys were probably my favorite team.
Oh, we got to get him off now. We got to get him off.
Back then it was hard.
You messed up.
In church I was always drawing the star, and I, Raider emblem. You can't draw that in church.
now you go somewhere else, huh?
So, but I never thought I would be able to play football at a higher level because I just looked at football, the guys who were playing, they were so great. I was doing well in school, but
did you always excel in academics? Because like you said, the stigma on the inner city and where we come from, or quote unquote supposed to where we came from, we're only supposed to excel at sports.
I did not excel in. I always believe you got to have a dream. You have to have a goal, and until I had that goal, I was awful. My mom and dad were teachers. A good grade for me was a C. And
I agree.
And not until like third grade when I think the astronaut program was going on that man, I want to be an astronaut. And being an astronaut, you went they didn't have computers; they had the encyclopedia.
Oh yeah,
so
A through Z. That was a Christmas present. That was a Christmas. What'd you give for Christmas? Encyclopedia.
So going through the encyclopedia, trying to figure out, okay, well, how do I become an astronaut? And they were like, well, the schools that most of the astronauts came from were University of Michigan was first, and the Naval Academy was second. And so it's like, man, they're smart, so I got to get my grades up.
So let's go back to this. A black kid in the hood, and you thinking about being an astronaut. What gave you that ideal to spin in your head that I wanted to be an astronaut?
Well, it was the Mercury missions, the first man up in space. I mean, watching Star Trek.
Yeah.
I wanted to be Captain Kirk. I wanted.
Was it because he had all the women?
Yeah, that was part of it. That was part of
He's
it.
boss man. You know what I mean?
So, but that was my goal. That was the driving force for me at the time. Was, man, I got to get grades. And all of a sudden, I turned myself around. I applied myself more. Man, I was in this program called Words in Color because, I could not read in, second grade. Mm-hmm. And when I went to the school around third grade, I'm going through Words in Color and I'm finally, applying myself to do well in school. And so gradually, by the time I'm in high school, I'm A's and B's.
Okay.
And the school that I really wanted to go to was the University of Michigan. But still, even though in Cincinnati, I was probably the third leading rusher in just the city of Cincinnati, I didn't think I would be able to play professional football. I thought I had a better shot at being an astronaut. And the University of Michigan looked at my speed. My coach, he said, because I told him I want to go to the University of Michigan because that's where most of the astronauts come from. And they had a great aeronautical engineering program. I was like, I want to go there. And so he sent my information to the coach at the University of Michigan, and they basically sent back and said, he's too small and he's too slow. Because they were getting the top people in the country. So then I went to my second choice, Naval Academy, and visited the Air Force Academy also, got into the Naval Academy, and basically you take an assessment test to find out if you can do your dreams. Can you play football and be an aeronautical engineering at the Naval Academy based on your abilities? And basically they said you would have a tough time graduating from the academy doing aeronautical engineering and playing football. You can't do both. And so I decided, you know what? I love computers. I'll go into computer science. They had a great computer science program at my high school where I was, one of my friends, he invented like one of the first golf games on the computer. And I made up a game called Battlestar Galactica where they, where you would actually fight on the computer. And so in computer science, I was able to validate a lot of the courses, so it made it a lot easier for me. And just football, playing football at the Naval Academy, I mean, it was just, at the Naval Academy, it's real regimented. You got to wake up at a certain time.
What time do you have to wake up? Tell us.
Oh, probably around 6 o'clock. And then like your first year, you got to do chow calls. And so a chow call, it's a 10-minute and a 5-minute chow call where you have to run out of your room. When you go to the Naval Academy, you have to run in the middle of the hallway when you're a freshman. You got to square your corners, make your turn 90 degrees. Okay, and every time you turn, you got to say, "Go Navy, beat Army," all the time. So all you hear, and then down the stairwells, you have to run on the outside of the stairwells. You have to chop. They call it chopping. Mm-hmm. So it's like a jog. So as a freshman, that's what you have to do every year. And then you have to stand at attention. They ask you questions. And then you got to answer all these questions.
Every morning?
Every morning. You have to have 2 newspaper articles that you have read.
Sound like you was in a fraternity.
Oh, yeah. The Naval Academy is a huge fraternity.
A huge fraternity.
Yeah. So yeah, 2 newspaper articles and a sports article every day. They ask you about them. You had rates, things you had to memorize. A fun thing that you have to memorize is you had this book called Reef Points.
Okay.
And they'd say, cadet or midshipman, how long you been in the Navy? And I said, all my blooming life. My mother was a mermaid, my father was King Neptune. I was born on the crest of the wave, rocked and cradle, deep sea, with barnacles are me close. Every bone in my body's a spar, I can't remember all of it, but you had to say it that fast with, an upper class in your face. So what was all this for? To perform under pressure. Because, if you're landing an aircraft on an aircraft carrier, you only have seconds. And you got to react. You got to know if you're too low. You got to know if you hit the deck and your tail hook doesn't hook on these 3 cords. You got to go full power. Well, you're going full powered, but you got to take off. Right. And so it's about performing under pressure because we're basically in the military, and people's lives depend on you performing under pressure. So you had to know all these things and perform your freshman year all the time. Your freshman year, you only got on Saturdays you went out. You had to stay in formation, and for breakfast you could go out after breakfast, come back for lunch. And then after lunch, you could go out till about 10 o'clock, and then you had to be back in.
So far as the college life, that's your college life?
That's my college life.
Okay. It's a lot different than my experience or Greg's experience.
Yeah.
What is the biggest difference in your college life and our college life?
He just told us.
No, actually, it's not, because the discipline part, we not doing that, but the discipline part of staying in college, you know what I'm saying? I mean, you guys wasn't there. A lot of guys are in college to play football, basketball, baseball. You dig what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You guys don't go to the Navy Academy thinking I'm going to the NFL.
Did you lose that
No.
dream? Did you lose that dream when you went to Navy Academy of having that NFL?
Well, I had never had an NFL dream.
Okay.
When I went to the Naval Academy, I was trying to be an astronaut. I was trying to be a pilot, and this is what I forgot, or I did not know, or just didn't realize. Well, if you fly in a Navy plane and you miss the carrier, you're only around oceans. If you land in the water, you got to be able to get out, and you got to be able to swim, tread water. I was not a swimmer. I was a sinker. And
You couldn't swim.
I could not swim. And to graduate from the academy, you have to swim for 40 minutes in your clothes and not touch the sides. You got to jump off a 3-meter board. I mean, I could do that, scary, but I could do that. But the swimming part, it took me 4 years to be able to pass, not be on swimming sub squad
Okay.
for 4 years.
So you have to do that for, and I understand what James was saying before, but I was just saying it is totally different for us. So your freshman year, did you have to pass swimming? So you had to do this for
So every year there was some kind of swimming test that you had to pass. To even get backseat qualified your second year, you had to drown proof, which is wearing, a flight suit and treading water for a certain amount of time to even sit in the back seat of a jet. So, I could never do that on time. So all of a sudden now I'm good in football. I'm not good at, I'm not going to be a pilot, which was my dream. And so, but playing football, and the nice thing about the football was that it took you away from all that, the strict.
Can I ask you, was
Yeah.
it, when you went to the Navy Academy, was it on a scholarship?
Everybody,
football, or was it about
everybody who
enlisting?
goes to the Naval Academy is on scholarship.
Okay,
Everyone.
everyone.
It's academic, it's your sports, everyone's on scholarship.
Okay.
And when you go to the Naval Academy, you actually get paid because you're working.
So you guys, by being NCAA, right?
Yep.
You guys was actually getting paid
Yep.
the way that the guys are getting paid now, basically. No, I'm not. I'm not saying the same amount of money.
Yeah,
because
but we were
when-
get
when
we would
were-
get weekly paychecks.
Yes,
Prison
and
pay?
it was able to be legal.
Yeah.
Wow. No, I mean that's something that I bet a lot of people out in the world don't even know.
Well, when
that
you go to
guys
the
were.
Naval Academy, you have a commitment to the Navy.
Right.
So you have a 5-year commitment that you have to serve.
Mm-hmm.
So while you're at the Naval Academy, you are actually like
Working.
Yes, I understand that.
And-
But as an NCAA college football player, getting paid,
Yeah.
they would say that would be illegal. But outside of the Naval, the Air Force,
Yep.
teams like that,
Yeah.
they don't. You guys is exempt from that.
Right.
Okay,
And maybe
okay.
they call it a stipend.
A stipend, okay. All right.
But it wasn't like we were making a ton of money. I mean, our meals, everybody's meal is paid for. And I guess what's different is not only as an athlete you were getting paid.
Okay.
Everyone who went to the Naval Academy got paid.
Right.
So,
Because you guys had to serve after that too.
we
right?
have to serve. We have to buy our uniforms.
Yeah, so there you go. Okay.
Everything. So it's a lot different. You guys, when you went to college, you got to go out in town, meet the ladies, go to parties.
I didn't. You did.
So, but for us, your freshman year, if you played real good, the football team had a great game, you got like a liberty as a freshman. So it's like you wanted to play good. You wanted your team to do well. So you got to stay out all night on Saturday.
So after game day, so give us like home game. So if you guys won,
Yeah.
I got two-fold question here. You guys won,
Yeah.
and you say you play good as
Against
a freshman.
a big rivalry.
Okay.
Yeah.
So and then, what was your curfew if you played bad? What time would you have to?
As a freshman, probably in at 11 or 12 o'clock.
Okay, so now if you freshman, you ball out and you win, what time do you have to be in?
So the commandant would say, "Hey, you all have liberty."
So basically,
You know, and
don't
so
be late.
you didn't have to come in at night, or you could come in whatever time you wanted to, and then just go to the
Meetings?
morning formation as a freshman.
So now,
Then your sophomore year, you got like 2 weekends. Your junior year, you got maybe 4 weekends, and your senior year, you got to go out every weekend.
No, I wouldn't have made it.
but so now,
After you reading your book, yeah, you wouldn't have made it.
what about like? Give us the Army Navy game. I mean, you know what I mean. Give us that game because
Oh,
you see the hype,
That's a
and Notre Dame too, right? For you guys.
Yeah.
So those games right there. Because I went to Miami, so we're convicts and they were the Catholics. So, but anyway, it's give us the
Well, the whole history of Navy and our Notre Dame and the academies are, at one time, Navy or Notre Dame wasn't good. And so the academies were the only teams that were like on their schedule to play them. And at that time, the Navy and the Army were good teams. Mm-hmm. And so we kind of helped build the Notre Dame program.
Okay.
And so in recognition that we did them, that's why they always have an academy
On their schedule.
on their schedule. All the academies play on their schedule because we helped them. Now, the Army-Navy game, like I said, as a freshman, every corner you make inside Bancroft Hall, that's where they housed everybody. So you were saying, go Navy, beat Army constantly. Mm-hmm. So to lose to Army as a freshman was not good because as a freshman, it was your fault why you lost. And not just the football team, every freshman was, if we lost to Army, the freshmen had, it was hell on them.
That class was lousy all the way up until the next time you guys beat them.
Not just your freshman year.
Just your
It
freshman
was
year.
just like the rest of your freshman year. You're the reason why we lost to Army. And
So did you play a lot as a freshman?
yes,
Did you?
I did.
Okay. Did you guys beat Army?
We beat Army. Every year I played, we beat Army.
There you
All
go.
right.
Yeah.
All right. That's cool. Man.
Yeah, so-
tell me.
All right, I should say my freshman year we tied Army.
Okay. Tell me this. What gave you the first impression that, man, I can play in the NFL? As your career went through the Navy Academy,
Yeah.
what gave you the idea that, man, I might be able to play in the NFL?
When you go to the Naval Academy, you get great food, okay, and you get portions and a half. You have team tables. You are looking forward to practice because you're getting away from all that military stuff. You're with your boys. You're out there on the field, and you're giving it your all. And then they've taught you already how to go deeper. How to perform mentally, physically, everything. They've taught you to go deep inside yourself and bring the best that you have. I mean, we were always the smallest team, but dang, we had heart. Mm-hmm. We
Didn't win a lot of
fighters.
games. How many games did you win your freshman year?
Oh, I can't even remember all that. We went to a bowl game.
Okay.
And we played Ohio State in a bowl game.
Ooh.
And on that team, Nick Saban was I think he was the
Defensive coordinator.
defensive coordinator, or maybe the safe.
He
had
was
the
some on
backs.
defense.
Yeah, and so we played them, almost beat them. I mean, I think it was like 10-6 or something like that, and that whole staff got fired, and they found out I was from Ohio. And they had never reached out and recruited me, and I had a good game against them. I was punt returner. I guess when I was in college, I was the leading all-purpose rusher in the country. Mm-hmm. And so, they were like, "Where are you from?" And, Cincinnati. And they found out, them in Michigan found out. And I remember talking to the head coach at Michigan and said, "Where are you from?" And I said, "From Ohio." And it's like, I wanted to go to Michigan. And he was like, "What?" I said, "You guys said I was too slow and too small."
Wow.
And so it was like, wow. For me, it was like, man, I always wanted to play against those guys because, when somebody doesn't pick you, you like,
yeah, I
want to beat up on them.
Well, you was pretty high in college football in rushing yards, right? And in all-purpose yards.
Oh, yeah.
So it's getting around the time that the draft is coming, and you know you have to make that decision on football or the Navy.
No, there wasn't no decision.
But the Navy had already made their decision for you.
Yeah, once you
commit, right?
Once you commit to your junior year, you have to serve.
Okay.
Now, you serve as an enlisted person, or you can serve as an officer. You finish the program, you serve as an officer. You don't finish the program, you're an enlisted person, but you're going to serve.
Okay.
And so the difference between me and David Robinson is that he was very good early on, and he had grown, and he was the star the freshman, sophomore year, and when it came to his junior year, he might have left the academy. Mm-hmm. And they said, "You know what? Hey, we're going to, because you're so tall, we're going to give you a waiver. And you know what? To make it, basketball was not a banned sport in the Navy. So you could be on the Navy basketball team." And so he was on the Navy basketball team. Then he went on to the Olympic basketball team. Mm-hmm. And I think that was the first dream team. So he played on that. And then he was allowed to go into the NBA after that. For me, I could not, because I had already passed my
junior year? Was it your junior year?
Yeah.
You had already passed it.
I already got into my junior year.
Okay.
I was already committed. So they said they would work with me, try to work with me. And so they did. When I graduated, I got drafted. I don't know, 4th round, 3rd pick, 3rd round, 4th pick, I don't remember.
3rd round, 4th pick.
3rd round, 4th pick? Okay, all right. So that's where my first number was 34. And there's an interesting story. Ask me about 34 later on. But 3rd round, 4th pick. And so my first duty station was Long Beach. And so I was on, so it was Long Beach because the Raiders drafted me. And so in Long Beach was the closest duty station. I was on an amphibious assault ship, and they worked, and my ship was in dry dock. It was being repaired. So during the football season, I would go early into work. I was the assistant food service officer. So I was responsible for breakfast and lunch, and then I would leave to go play football after breakfast and lunch. Mm-hmm. So, and then every 4th day I had to go back to the ship and stand duty. And so standing duty was making sure the ship didn't blow up, or, they had someone to call to take care of it.
So was it someone in the Raiders organization that you talked to that I know someone had to allow you to do it and be understanding about it? Who would that maybe?
Well, I think it was Al Davis. He wanted me, mm-hmm. Or the coaching staff wanted me.
Okay. That wasn't the Mike White's crew, was it? What?
Mike White was there.
Mike White was there, wasn't he?
Yeah, it was Steve Ortmeyer. He was Ron Wolf.
Yeah.
Those guys.
Basically the Green Bay Packers front office.
Yeah. in college, I mean, I was the career all-purpose rusher.
Yes, you were.
NCAA history. So I went up against Bo Jackson and the Heisman. I lost the Heisman to Doug Flutie,
Yeah.
and I lost it to Bo Jackson. So yeah, I was up for the Heisman twice. So I was pretty good.
Yeah, you was really good.
So
I remember watching you in college.
and so that, I guess that's why I went so high. But the Navy owned me, and I could not get out of that commitment. And the Navy at the time were the administration, and the politics of it. They were thinking that my first year there, I did such a great job. They were thinking that what, we're going to make you a recruiter afterwards, so that way I'm land-based and I could play with the Raiders and go back.
I would think that'll be a great look for the military. You know what I mean? At that time, we hadn't got into bed with the military yet. With the flyovers and things like that.
Yeah.
That hadn't came yet. I would think if we had already got into bed with the military, I think that would have been an ideal situation for you and the Raiders and the NFL, because it
Yeah.
would show how the NFL and the Raiders are working with our United States military. You
Yeah.
know what I mean?
Yeah.
And because now we so deep in the bed with the military. For as football on Sundays
Yeah.
is crazy.
But but you think what it took for us to get deep in bed with the military,
Yeah.
for the flyovers. I remember it was just at All-Star games or maybe a Super Bowl.
Yeah.
But then to 9/11, and I remember we had an off day, and we're flying into New York that day, and all of a sudden you get a call at 7 in the morning, and you turn on the news and you see the towers going down, and we were the first. So we got canceled then. Play got suspended for a week, and we were the first team there. Man, the cloud over it, and I think that's when the military and all the armed forces
Yeah.
and the police and fire, everyone, America started to embrace. They were
yeah.
embraced, but they were really embraced now. You know
Really
what I mean?
embraced.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because we were the first team back in New York, and
Yeah.
man, it was crazy. I've never seen anything like it in my life.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Just the hate that people have in the
Yes.
world for just senseless, deaths and like our people, we do it all the time. And I don't get it, man. I don't get it.
I think it was it's the first time the homeland got attacked. And it was on the news. Everyone knew about it. And so it was, you were very committed to this great country and the people who defend it, because they sent the military out to go get them.
Do you think that was one of the times in the United States history that everyone came together? You dig what I'm saying? That was one of the times when everybody became. I'm
together.
America. It wasn't
Yeah.
black. It wasn't white. It wasn't light skin, dark skin, fat or skinny. It was just you are American. Let's fix what's going on. Let's get it done.
Yep. And you saw the building blow up.
Yeah, I watched it on TV.
And
Wow.
so over and over again. And so, it's like, it's a fact. It happened.
Mm-hmm.
No one's saying it's a conspiracy or anything like that.
right.
Everybody's on the same page. This is, we got to go, beat some people, kick some ass.
Let's go back to you.
Okay.
Where you had to make this transition from being in the Navy. You took off a lot of time before you came to the NFL. Do you think when you took that time off, did you lose a step, or did you lose a little bit of desire to play in the NFL?
I didn't lose desire to play in the NFL.
You lost a step?
I think I lost a step because what happened was instead of me going into recruiting, the administration, the government administration changed. There were different people in power. Well, there was a person who was in charge of the Navy, Secretary of the Navy. He was a Marine. He didn't believe in me being able to be a
1 foot in, 1 foot out.
or a recruiter. He went to the Naval Academy. We paid for his education. He owes us time. you know.
He wasn't a Raider fan. That's the problem.
Well, I don't know, but they had a point, and there were a lot of people who had that point, you know, because there's always different perspectives. It's like, you know what, we paid, you know, $100,000 for this person's, or I think it was $250,000 for this person's education. He needs to be serving the military. He doesn't need to be making money in the NFL, you know, and that's, you know, I got letters from people who were mad and, you know, drawing nooses.
So do you think that David Robinson got the exact same thing?
Well, because the way, like, I was kind of like the first.
No, I'm talking about the letters. Oh, so you went to the league before David. That's that's maybe my miscommunication.
David was 2 years behind me.
Okay, then. So you were first. Okay.
Yeah, and so, you know, and because I was really prominent, you know, Heisman, all this, everybody was talking about me. You know, it was tough because it was like a 50-50 split. It's like, man, we're wasting, you know, all the money we're spending in recruiting. We could be having him go out and represent us. He's a great representative of the Navy. We would probably get more people in the Navy if we had him out there, being the face or voice. And so, you know, that was the dilemma, whether, you know what, real military service, was it actually working on a ship, doing Navy things, or was it going out and recruiting? Well, I mean, the honest truth is it's both.
It's all of it, right?
It's all of it. You know, we have a budget for recruiting. We need to bring more people into the Navy. You know, we have to give bonuses to people to go into the Navy because the Navy's not for everyone, and you got to encourage people to go in.
But what about, you know, being a person of color? How did you see a?
Oh yeah, it was. You know, I remember this one clearly. It was a circle with a triangle at the edge. You know, and so they said this is the view of a nigger from the bottom of a well.
And that was why you was in the Navy?
That was while I was in the Navy.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. You know, like, did he see any, you know, bias towards him, or racism, whatever you want to call it, in the Navy? And
now, I didn't get that all the time. That was one person that, you know what, I opened the mail and I got that. So, you know what, but I was focused on doing my job. You know,
but it wasn't a surprise either, because at that time we knew what could happen and what to expect. But so I know you wanted to be a pilot. That was your dream. You know what I mean? At first, an astronaut, and then the pilot. Did you ever make?
So
how big were you?
Pilot first to become the astronaut.
Okay. So how big were you in? I mean, your height and weight in the, you know, when you're going to the academy.
I was a tall, slender person. I was still 6'2", but I was at the Naval Academy. I was probably 210. And then when I came out, probably 225. I probably played with the Raiders at 225 and 235. And I guess I should tell you, so after my first year, like I said, the administration changed, the government administration changed, and they said, you know what, we don't want you to play anymore, and we're going to send you to Alameda, Naval Air Station Alameda. You're going to be on a nuclear-guided missile cruiser. You're going to have two jobs. You're going to be the dispersing officer responsible for paying everybody on the ship, and to pay everybody on the ship when we went on deployment for 6 months. One of the neat things that I was responsible for is $1.5 million. Actually cashed a check, government check, for $800,000. Went to the Federal Reserve underneath, picked up the money, took it in my car back with the master at arms, put it in my safe. And then I was also the retail sales officer. So barbershop, laundry, I was responsible for all that.
They give you a lot of responsibility.
That's a lot.
And then it seems like, I mean,
What years were this?
Yeah.
What years were this?
87, 88, 89, and then I after 3 years or 2.5 years, I went to Naval Recruiting District, San Diego.
Did you ever have to go on the ship out to sea?
Oh yeah, so that's why I needed the $1.5 million.
Okay.
Because we went Westpac. I mean, and like we were a nuclear guided missile cruiser, so we have to in the Navy. You have the mothership, the big ship that you always have to protect is the aircraft carrier. So we went out on the carrier group, and because we were nuclear, we stayed with the aircraft carrier all the time. Most of the time, some of the time, a nuclear ship can't go into port. So we would always have to be spinning in the ocean with the aircraft carrier. So, and that ocean is big.
And that's crazy. Because, playing in San Diego, I got to go, like on some of those fighter jets and the ships. I'm only 6 foot, man, but I don't know how you guys do it. The hallways aren't that wide. The ceilings aren't that tall.
Yeah.
The bunks. I feel like I was in the dugout at Wrigley Field.
Yeah.
Like when you jump up and down, you hit your head.
It wouldn't work for me.
No.
It would be hard for you to get your shoulders through the narrow. It's designed that way so that when you are, like if you get hit, when someone shoots something at you, a missile, something like that, hole in the ship, you gotta close the compartment where that leak is. You gotta shut all the doors so you don't flood the whole ship and it sinks. I mean, it takes a lot to sink a ship the way they're designed, because if there's a hole, we learn how to plug it. If we can't plug it, we close that door, seal it off, and the doors aren't that big so that you can seal them off.
So they basically like little, what I want to say, safes. Just like little safes.
There's a bunch of little, there's spaces all in the ship. There's nothing that's just left open, except for at the very top of the ship where the aircraft carrier is, all that. Everything else, there's doors and hatches to close so that ship can stay buoyant.
So let's talk about it's coming to the end of your enlistment, right?
Okay.
And it's getting time for you to go and play.
Not enlistment, commitment.
Commitment. I'm sorry.
As
commitment.
an officer,
As
it's
an
a commitment.
Well, Ray, your commitment. I'm
Yeah.
sorry about that. Once you coming to the end of your commitment, what was your thoughts? Do I need to? What kind of shape I need to be in? What was the thing you needed to do to get ready for the NFL?
When I was committed to, I got to stay in shape. So I ran the decks on the ships. I went up the stairs. I don't know if you guys remember the Solo Flex. I bought one of those. I put it on the ship, so I was working out all the time. And my rights got traded to, I got to tell you about the 34.
Yeah.
So I'm on board the ship. Like I said, Bo Jackson won the Heisman. He went into baseball because he didn't want to go to the team. But later on, the Raiders picked Bo. Well, I'm on the ship, and they call me. The Raiders call me and say, because my original number was 34, and the Raiders call me and they said, hey, we just got Bo Jackson. He wants 34. And so, Nap, can you give it up, to him? And I said, yeah, I can give it up to him. I'm not using it and everything. But little did I know that, you're supposed to pay the guy for that number.
Yeah, but nowadays you make big bank.
Yeah. So
You missed out on the payment.
my joke to Bo every time I say, man, you still owe me some money.
He owe you a lot of money. Okay,
As many as those 34s are being sold.
Yeah, he's a good man too.
when you get to the Raiders,
Yeah.
you got Marcus Allen,
Yeah.
you got Bo Jackson, yourself,
Eric Dickerson.
I mean, y'all backfield is loaded. I remember watching you guys. I'm saying, well, Who the heck gonna run the ball today? I mean, they got all the top 4
Yeah.
running backs in the NFL on one team.
And Eric Dickerson.
And Dick, yeah.
Yeah. So,
How did you guys manage that?
so what was, I guess, good about me was that, I'm coming off of 4 years not
Playing.
and I want to play. So whatever I got to do to play,
special teams, whatever.
Teams, I'm excelling. I'm going all out for everything. So, like, I am on every special teams that the Raiders have.
Right.
And then I'm the backup for all those guys. I'm the backup as a tailback. I'm the backup as a fullback. And then later on, we couldn't get first down. We were great at, 3rd and 10, 3rd and 12, 3rd and 2.
But 3rd and 1 and 2?
Yeah, couldn't get it. And then they put, I don't know if you remember, Todd Pete, Big Todd
Big
Pete.
Todd.
This was guy 325, 330. And they put him as the fullback. And then me behind him. Now, I'm 235 already. And
240.
And, it was pretty simple. We're going to run right side or left over the right tackle or the left tackle. And we got first downs all the time.
So that opened up their eyes of knowing that you can play.
Yep.
All right.
And then my last year, all those guys were gone. And, my chance to be a starter. And so it's like, Al, my contract's over, I'm renewing, and, can I get paid starter money? And Al's like, all right, if you're starting at the beginning of the season, we're going to renegotiate your contract. We're going to play starter. Okay. So every preseason game, I'm starting either at the tailback or I'm the fullback, but I'm starting everything.
So who was there with you? Because
Tom Rathman was there.
So Rathman had came over from the 49ers at that time?
Yeah.
Did Roger Craig come at that time?
Roger Craig had just left.
Because Roger came. I remember Roger came
Roger
to
was
us,
there
and he
too.
came to us in Minnesota. So he had just left the Raiders when he came to Minnesota.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So there was an opportunity, and then we had a young guy named Nick Bell.
That's what I was thinking about. Bell.
I think it was Nick Bell.
Big Bell, yeah.
Yeah.
And what's the guy named from Pitt? Went to Penn State. Play football.
Played fullback?
Penn State. He passed of leukemia. Or
Oh,
something.
no. So that was, he was there my first year, Steve Smith.
Steve Smith. Okay,
Yeah,
so he
Steve.
wasn't there
No.
at the time you was getting ready to leap into this stardom in the NFL.
No.
Okay.
No, he was gone. And then so all the preseasons I'm starting. First game of the season, we're going to play the 49ers. And Art Shell comes to me and said, hey, Nap, just want to tell you, you're not starting for this game. And I'm like, Art, man, you don't understand. If I don't start, I'm not going to get paid starter money. My contract all depends on me starting. And I was like, do you know that? And he's like, I know that and everything. And I talked to Al, and I'm like, and so why? And it's like, Steve says you're too valuable on all the special teams. Because he said the only time you would be off the field is when the defense came on the field.
Man, that was a business decision. Stop all that crap. That was a contract decision.
That's what I took it as that. I was too valuable.
Man, don't you fail for that. Valuable my behind.
I fell for it, hook, line, and sinker.
But NFL, not for long, and it's tough. You know what I mean? So
it's tough, and I was good on special teams.
You was, but hold up. My offense need a running back. But I'm going to take my best running back and put him on special teams. Or should I take my best running back, make him a special team player so I don't have to pay him starter money and still keep him as a running back when I need him?
I think you got to look at it as like you have and maybe because I'm military, you got to put the pieces where they can most strategically help you.
That's military.
But that's business too.
But that's
Oh, it's business. I understand that part.
And so, like,
That was Al Davis'
the
move.
difference between you and Tom Rathman, not that big a difference. At least that's what they thought. Not that big a difference.
Tom Rathman was a fullback. You was a
I know,
tailback.
Nobody's talking about the business part on the rest of the side.
well,
Yeah,
I
but I
totally
was,
understand that.
but I was the fullback and tailback. So they had a smaller guy as the tailback, who was much faster than I was. I was more of a power guy. I could block. I could do everything you needed to do.
If that make you feel better, I'm gonna let you say it.
Now, you don't. I know you don't understand it, but it's like I said. I think you're raised to to deal with everything that comes your way. You know what I mean? Just like me hitting
Yeah.
15 home runs. I'm the only person ever hit 15 home runs and get traded in the season. I didn't like it.
Yeah.
But you have to deal with it. And I can harp on it. I can have that hole, but you just got to keep it moving.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
But at that time, you just didn't realize the politics of the game. That's all. Because that was politics of the game.
Well, you gotta also understand. It's like, man, I spent 4 years not playing football, and the Raiders had enough faith in me to bring me back. So that
let's stop this.
But
Let's take away. You didn't spend 4 years in the Navy, right?
Okay.
And they did that to you. How would you have felt?
He never knows.
That's why I said.
Would they have brought Eric Dickerson or somebody else? And
so we
would
gonna
I
play
been the
hindsight.
starter?
Okay. I got you. I got you.
I had Marcus Allen. These guys are guys might go into the
But
Hall
this
of
is
Fame.
your time to become the starter for the Oakland Raiders, and this is what they bring to you. And you have bust your behind for 4 years in the Navy, and then when you get to the Raiders, you got Bo, you got Dick, you got Marcus.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And now it's your turn to shine, and they tell you Tom Rathman is going to start in front of you. You going to tell me that was just okay with you?
Or what are you gonna do? You got to get a different job. It's not okay. But I'm sure the same thing happened to you though too. You're playing and they put someone in front of you that you're not. You could either bounce and get a different job, or you just have to deal with it. I'm sure he was.
Yeah,
I'm not saying leave. That's not what I'm not saying. Leave or bounce, but you have some type of feeling going on inside you that why are y'all screwing over me and I'm busting my ass?
Well, I talked to Al, and he said, "You know what? Give me a couple games and I'll make it right." So right after Art told me that, I went to Al, and I said, "Hey Al, I understand. The only reason I'm not starting is because I'm too valuable on special teams, and and maybe I'm pumping myself up because I got to make this talk to him." And I said, I understand that, and I want to do what's best for the team. And he said, "Nap, you know what? Give me a couple games and I'll make it right." So I'm thinking, you know what? He's going to redo my contract after a couple of games after he sees that I'm needed as the fullback. And in that game, we don't score. You got Jerry Rice scoring against us. That game was supposed to be like a preview of the Super Bowl because we were the two best teams. We hadn't lost a preseason. They hadn't lost a preseason. We were coming, picked to be in the Super Bowl against each other. And so in that game, I don't start, but during the game, they put me back in. And I score a touchdown, and so the first series I'm in, we score a touchdown. So now we got hope and everything. And then we go again, and then that's when I get hurt. And so kind of ended my career right there.
So could you describe or tell the audience what was your injury?
So I had dislocated my knee. So I was running through the middle of the line, and I was in a pile, and instead of my knee bending the right way, it went backwards, and you can see it on
Was it a
YouTube.
compound fracture?
No, it's worse than a compound fracture because a dislocated knee, it's in the joint. So when you have a dislocated knee, it means you severed an artery.
Okay.
You severed 3 of your 4 ligaments, and they had to, basically pull my foot out of my ear and pull it back in place and reset it. And then, so I've got bleeding all in my leg because I severed the artery. They got to do a bypass, can't do anything else. As soon as I get in there, it's like, we got to take an emergency surgery. We got to take a vein out of my groin and replace the vein. And for a week, I'm in the hospital, can't move. My leg is swelling up. I look like a nose guard.
So that was the hit was by Ken Norton Jr., right?
Yep.
Yeah.
And it was more of a twist and bend, and then, his leverage bending me, and then he coming on, on my knee, bent it backwards. And then bent it backwards and then twisted it.
I mean, you were at that time. You was a big running back. You know what I'm saying?
I was a big
remember, I remember we come to play you guys when I was in Minnesota, and we would say, "Man, that's a huge kid." I mean, you was a big dude, man.
Yeah.
And Norton wasn't that big at that time.
Yeah.
And for him to even to attack you like he attacked you, it was. We remember watching it. It was very vicious. Yeah. But you had to be vicious with you because Napoleon, when you guys used to run that lead, it was straight downhill. And wasn't no shake to it.
No. And
you wasn't no shake.
I wasn't going to.
So you can't be like, man, he could have missed me. No, Napoleon, we watch you on film. You coming straight downhill, brother.
I'm coming downhill. I'm putting my shoulder.
And it can get ugly to the defensive player. He got to make a decision.
Yep.
Okay.
So after that, you said career ending. Now, tell us now, where's that landed you and what do you have going on in the next chapter?
And so I got to say, it's like my faith. Mm-hmm. I had always heard that, sometimes God closes a door to open up the door. So, I was like, okay, well, this is the next chapter in my life. I got to do something else. Going to the Naval Academy, going through all that stuff, that was powerful because I learned that I was so much more, that I could do anything. Anything someone throws at me, I can do it. So I started, I tried to come back, couldn't, because I had severed the nerve too, so I couldn't even bring up my foot. So I had dropped foot for probably about 2 years. But I decided to I was great in computers, validated a lot of courses. So I decided, let me go into computer graphics. And so I started a company here in Vegas doing computer graphics, wrapping the buses. So like the cat buses, I used to wrap those. Some of the casinos, the fashion show mall, I remember being up on a scaffolding and putting my picture.
Beat the camera up, huh? That's not Ken Norton.
Putting the pictures up on the windows and doing the install, and I did that for about 8 years, and then after that wasn't really making money. So sold the business, wanted to do, and then because I was always out in the community, one of the people from the Louis Overstreet, Piper Overstreet's father, he saw that I was out in the community and suggested to basically the Venetian at the time that I work in community development. at the Venetian. And then I've been working at the Venetian, or now the Las Vegas Sands Corp, for probably over 17 years.
Man, that's wonderful. That's a great transition, man.
Yeah.
So tell the people about, I guess this the number one thing I wanted to ask you about was the influence that you had bringing the Las Vegas Raiders here.
So I had, when I first came to Vegas, everybody was like, for Las Vegas to be a legitimate city, we need to have a football team. That'll make us legitimate because, sports, the NFL, never going to happen. That's everybody's feeling, never going to happen in Vegas. I got to work with JT the Brick and doing the Las Vegas Outlaws, which was a professional team in the XFL. It did fantastic here in Las Vegas, always sold out crowds, fun time and everything. And then that league went under. So I knew football was going to do well here. And then when I saw that the Raiders were trying to leave Oakland, I was like, I was going through a responsible gaming class.
Can I ask you something?
Yeah.
What is that time span for the audience? That time span where you figured that the Raiders wanted to come here?
Probably about 3 years before they came. 3 years before they came. And I had gone through a responsible gaming class. The professor, the head of the Gaming Institute at UNLV was teaching that class, Bo Bernhardt. And so I went to him because I just always heard about, NFL, you're not even allowed to come here and go to the casinos or, don't be involved with that. So I talked to him and I was like, oh, so what's the deal? Why can't? And basically he said there's no reason. If anything, it would be best for the NFL to be here because every bet that's made over $500, we have a person's ID, we have, we got their history. So we can tell if a game's fixed. In fact, I guess a basketball game, we told the NBA the refs are fixing that game.
That was my Sacramento Kings, man. We only had four free throws. The Lakers had 37. Yeah, the Lakers had 37. We had 4.
Was that Tim Donahue?
I don't.
Tim Donahue?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry for saying your name.
Yeah.
You did it.
But that's what he said. If anything, it would be best. And then he did a peer review study on the NFL in Las Vegas. Then I did research and on the market based on our the population. We're a Cleveland, Cincinnati market. But what no one takes into account is that during football season, we are the second largest market next to New York. I mean, we were even bigger than LA because of all the people that come here to Vegas during convention season. So, and then the other thing is that the people who are coming here have money. Who's not going to want to bring their best customers to the convention and then go to a game and wine and dine them at a game? The one thing I didn't know and didn't realize until the Raiders told me is how much hidden money is here. So, it was funny because the person in finances, he came up to me and was like, "Nah, we sold all the suites." It was like when they were in Oakland, we couldn't sell everything. I think they were $40,000 or something for the year. It's like, man, we're selling these things for 200, 300, and we got, 5-year commitments on them. It's like, we went too low. They sold out all the suites in 30 days, all the PSLs were all sold. I mean, it was just people here, they were mortgaging their house to buy the PSLs because they knew that football would do fantastic here.
Well, cheers to you on that, bro.
Cheers to you,
I mean, that's one more cheers.
We appreciate
But
appreciate
you know what?
your foresight.
I got to say, because of the company that I worked for and how Vegas or Nevada works, my company, the Las Vegas Sands, is pretty influential. And when I told them about the possibility of the Raiders coming here, because I think it was like Memorial Day, I had talked to Mark about coming here. And then Mark wanted to meet some people. He knew I worked for the Sands. He wanted to meet the leadership. I also was trying to put UNLV and the Sands together so that they would share.
The commitment of the stadium.
Yeah, a stadium. I mean, I was thinking about where we were going to put it, all this kind of stuff. But my company had the power or the strength or the influence to fight off all the naysayers or the people who didn't want to do it. And that's where Mark, I think he learned that, to get things done in Vegas, there's a certain way you do it. People you have to know, people you have to keep happy. And that's what he did. He did it. He's doing a fantastic job. I mean, he's got a commitment to the community, which is unmatched. The diversity initiatives that they have there. I mean, it's just awesome. And so, the thing that makes me most proud is how they have embraced Las Vegas, and they've done such a fantastic job.
Okay, now let's switch gears in another sport. What do you think about the A's? You think we need some of their diversity to come into to the organization also? You know what I mean? Because
I just I know football does well. I'm not a baseball.
And that's why you asked me earlier.
Yeah, I'm not a baseball. And I know we've had the
Aviators.
The Aviators, and they were something else.
51s before that?
Yeah, the 51s. And so I know the owner of those teams, and you know what? He's kept that going for a long time. And but there's just so much going on in Vegas. It's just, and they could have, they said that about football too. And hockey, but they're excelling and doing well, and the Aces are doing well, but Las Vegas loves winners though.
No, yeah, you got to win.
Gotta win.
You got to win.
Yeah, so
so that means you guys, the Raiders, better start winning.
hey, man. Hey, we got the leadership.
Hey, you do.
It's going to be different.
Yeah, it's going to be a lot different.
I can really feel it.
We can go in the parking lot now without going through the gate or getting checked like we in TSA, man. I remember, man. I come from Oakland, and we can walk up freely.
Yeah.
Here, man, we had to get checked in, ID, fingerprinted, blood, drawn, everything, and let them know, hey, that's him.
Vegas, don't mess around.
But now we back to the Raiders, man, where we got open arms for all the players and not just some of them. And that's what we need to be successful.
Yep.
We are outlaw team.
Yep.
Let us be what we are. Yep. And let's have fun here in an outlaw town called Las Vegas. And, man, I'd like to say thank you for coming to the show with me and Greg, man.
Thank you for letting me share.
Man, anytime, man.
Anytime. Life after sports, man, as you see, we don't always talk about sports. It's more about the life.
Yeah, life after sports.
The platform for everyone just to tell their story, you know, because like you said, Navy prepares you to be more than just a football player.
Right.
And I think no matter what we do, I think a lot of us have that. You know what I mean? But people only see that, so we wanted Life After Sports 23 to be that platform.
Yeah.
So thank you.
So you guys. I mean, I got to say, is like I always looked at sports as this is your prep for life. You got to go through obstacles. You got to go through adversity. How do you overcome? How do you fight? How do you dig down inside to give your best? And so that's so important in sports, and everybody has that experience who has played sports at any level.
Right.
And so appreciate you guys,
Thank you.
sharing
Well,
those
thank you.
stories
Thank you.
with the audience out there.
Thank you. Well, we have a saying that we say here: we are breaking chains and building dreams. You are a dream bringer, and thank you.
breaker.
He broke some chains and built some dreams, and thank you for giving these people the understanding and the hope in Las Vegas that the Raiders could succeed here. Because without your vision and your calculation and you going through your study, the Raiders may not be here. Thank you again.
And for people that look like us too, that they don't, there's other avenues to make a difference. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think that's the important thing. You don't have to play a sport. You can go in the military. You can go in the Navy. You can do anything you want to do.
Yeah.
And that's the whole key to this podcast. Dream big, think big, and go get it.
You're not a tree. You're not stuck.
Yep.
Thank
You're not
you.
a tree. You're not stuck.
For sure.
Thank you.